This is a 2001 Dodge Intrepid ES with a V6 24 valve 3.2 liter, and it's got, I think, factory right at about 215 horsepower, and it drives and runs well. The car is really reliable. I'll give you a little tour of it. I'm asking $2,400 and feel comfortable with that price. I think it's worth that, but you know, if you've got cash, I can negotiate a little bit, but not much. I mean, I've got $600 just in the front end recently in it. But it doesn't leak anything. It doesn't smoke at all. The engine's in good shape. The transmission is in good shape. Everything shifts well in it. It's a reliable car. It's got, I just recently put new struts in the front, new pads, new rotors, and a new power steering rack, which was quite a task, but it handles and drives so much better. The steering is real responsive in it now. Evidently that had been an issue for a little while. Still got a little bit of a rattle in the front end, and probably not going to fix that. The more I fix, the more the price is going to go up on this car. But it's in the front stabilizer. It doesn't affect anything handling wise on it, and it's not a danger. It's got good tires on it. The front ones are newer, and I can get in here and show you. It needs bushings right here, and eventually, if I keep it, I'll replace them, but it's just a little bit of a rattle when you go over a bump. You can't really notice it. Let's see, it's got some cosmetic issues. It's got some fading on the hood, and it's got a little ding right here on the same place on both sides. It's where it rubbed on a dolly whenever it was being towed. But the paint otherwise on the sides is in really good shape. It's been waxed. The roof I redid. It was really rough on the roof, and I also painted the trunk. But I mean, you can't tell it from a distance. It's got a CB in it if you want it. If not, I can take it out. The back tires are in good shape too. It does really well in the rain. It's got some little marks here and there. I don't know if you can see that, and that's rough there, but the sides look really nice on it. The car is really reliable, and it's safe. It rides well in the rain. It's not a lightweight car, so it does pretty good. I drove it quite a bit yesterday after I put everything back together with the power steering rack, and was really impressed on how it handles. You'll notice this piece here is gone. This car was a repo at one time, and the person had it before changed out the whole steering wheel and steering column, and they just didn't have this piece. But let's see here, it's giving me an airbag light now. The issue I had with it when I had to replace the power steering rack, and that's why I didn't sell it earlier. I had to get everything right on it, but the steering wheel was slipping. It's really tight now, but it had a lot of play in it, and under power when you would make a turn, and this is a common issue with the Intrepids, the steering would lock on it, and then just, you know, you'd snatch it, and when it would come back, the steering wheel was turned off center. It was pretty dangerous, but it's got a neat little Sony I put in it. It's got newer speakers in the front. And it's decent sounding sound system. It's got the Sport Select shift. I've got to glue this back in where I had this out, and I can do that. But if you bring it all the way down, you can move the gear shift left to right, and it puts it in sport mode, and you can just pop it to shift gears or pop it to downshift. All that works well. I've got the CB unhooked, and it's got another extra power supply with USBs that's unhooked, but I can hook all that back up. I just took it loose when I was working on the car and doing all the other stuff. It's got some cracked places in the dash. It was a Florida car, that's where it originally came from, and I think the sun just took its toll on it. And I did this, I leaned into the car to get something out of it and put my hand here and cracked that, and I glued it all back together. It's definitely got some imperfections, but it's got some cool features and options too. I put these little LED lighted mirrors on it, so whenever you hit the key handle or the key button, it'll light everything up. All the power stuff works. I fixed all that, and I had to replace the door handles on the front and the door panels. These handles in the back don't work, but they open from the outside, and all your windows and everything work. A little bit slow. There's a stain right there. I don't know where that came from, but I'm going to work on that and get that out. The carpet is not in that great a condition. I guess at one point it was a family car. This is a neat feature. You've got air in the back. Now when you turn the air on, it blows to the back seats. It's a really comfortable car to ride in. And you've got your computer readout and everything there. It all works. All this stuff works. You know, on both sides you've got lights and stuff on your mirrors. I fixed everything on that had issues. Got a little CB speaker there, but again, I may take that out. Most people are not going to have any interest in that. If you do, we can keep it in there. But there's some neat features here and there. I guess that's the light if you want to turn the light on back here. Your oh shit handles. They probably are necessary. It is quite a quick little car. All in all, not in bad shape. I mean, for what it is. Pop the trunk. Probably got stuff in the trunk I need to take out. I do. I put new shocks on the trunk because it was falling. It was kind of dangerous. It's got a big trunk in it. It's got a good spare. I made sure the spare is good. The jack and everything is in there if you ever had any issues. Look at the engine again with it running. It's a good running little V6. Dodge didn't do bad when they designed these 3.2s. A lot of them have the 2.9 is what you'll generally find in them, and they made a 3.5. The 3.5 doesn't have much more horsepower than the 3.2. The 3.2 I think is the best option, and it's got quite a bit of horsepower. And again, nothing is leaking on it. It doesn't smoke when you get on it. I mean, it's in decent shape. And we'll take it for a test drive in a minute. We'll take it for a test drive around the block. It's a big block, but I got to get busy with other stuff. I like these little lights. Whenever you hit your unlock button, it'll light up. It does really well. It lights up around the car where you can see, and then as the lights dim in there, I wired it in parallel. It's got to be wired a certain way with these lights. These will start going dim along with the lights inside. They don't just shut off, but they'll actually, it looks pretty neat, they go dim. And these are the wires and stuff for the CB and stuff I've added. Again, I can take all that out, and I can also fix the little holes and the body plugs where the antenna was. I can put a plug in it. But yeah, the CB's a neat little option on the interstate. It's got really cold air in it. I love it. cold right there already. There's still a few minor things with the car that create an issue. I'm kind of editing this video because the air conditioner was so loud it was blowing directly onto the microphone of the camera, but I'm not going to start this time so you can hear. It's got really cold air in it, and I do like that about it. I replaced the climate control because it went bad, along with a switch, a motorized switch in there that controls where your air goes. The selector that changes it from these vents to the defrost to the floor was bad in it. And then also I ordered this off of eBay used, and this works fine, but I just don't use the selectors at all. If I want to switch it, it worked. For my purposes, it's disconnected from the motor, and you can reach right around here under the dash. If you're a younger person too, it's a lot easier for you, but it's just like a lever in there. You can just take and move it to wherever you want it. If you decide to buy that switch, and we have a deal, make a deal, I could probably put it in there for you, but I'm just not going to put too much more money into it. I mean, it works well enough for my purposes too. This is a neat option, and they work off these switches. Can't remember which switch is what, but this switch operates there's some low-level red light LEDs mounted under the seats that light up the floor, kind of like a light lock. If you wanted extra light, it wouldn't affect your vision at night to drive, but it lights up the floor. If you drop something, you know, makes it easier to find. It was just something I thought was neat, and I did. And this controls this, and a little blue light will pop on when you kick this on. And the CB is wired separate. Yeah, it's disconnected. But it's a little Cobra CB, and it's handy on the interstate. It's just new. I haven't had it long. And it picks up a decent distance, and what I use it for is on the interstate. Truck drivers will call out where the police are sitting, and they'll call a mile marker, and for me that works better than a radar detector. I can't think of really anything else to say about it. I want you to be aware about the selector, and it's got some cracks and stuff in the dash. And I'm loving the new power steering rack. It came out nice. With the new struts and everything, it drives really well. Watch my speed through here. When I get out of this neighborhood, I'll hammer down on it a little bit and I'll show you what it'll do. But of course, if you're interested in buying it, we can test drive, and until you feel comfortable with it. I mean, definitely not going to try and pawn something off on you or slide something past you. This would make a good car for somebody who's getting their first car. It's got new brake pads and rotors in the front. The back pads are okay. I've checked them. The brakes work well in it. It drives straight. It drives really well with those new struts. But if you're a younger person, parents, this car is pretty quick. It is fast. I think the 3.2 liter is kicking about 215 horsepower. It's not a small car by any means. It's not a lightweight car. But that's one of the things I like about it too. On the interstate, I use it a lot to go back and forth between Nashville and Knoxville to see my dad. And if you want to go around somebody, you just touch it and it'll drop down and it will rock it. I mean, I'll miss it. I really don't want to sell it, but I need to. The money I will take and use directly toward putting a roof on my motorhome. Not 70 miles an hour that quick. Not as good as reliable. Talk too much about it, I might change my mind and keep it, because it does run so well. The blinkers blink fast because I've got the LED blinkers in the front. They all work. I can put regular bulbs back in it. I love it, I'll miss it. The changing the transmission fluid and filter in it made a big difference with it. It downshifts better. It runs a lot smoother that way. Everything I've done to it has made a difference. And that's the thing about cars, you just have to upkeep them and they'll last a long time. But even winding it out like that, it does not smoke a bit. It does not hurt it. I mean, I don't drive it like that often. I did that to kind of show you, you know, what it is and what it's about. It's a decent little car. And I don't want to get rid of it, but I just have too many cars. And my wife bought this car, and I inherited all the labor on it. I said I had $600 into the front end. That's just in parts. I did all the labor myself, and I'm not gonna pass that expense on to you. Just asking a fair price for it. I'm asking $2,400. If you're a good person and you've got cash, I mean, that's slightly negotiable, but fairly close to what's fair on it. And I can hear that little rattle in the front, but that's the sway bar. And if I keep it, I'll eventually put those bushings in, but it really, it's not a big deal. Put it back where it was. Neat little car. We just wound the crap out of it. She still purrs like a kitten. But you should know I haven't made it. I don't drive it that way normally. Another reason I want to sell it is I just bought a 1972 Mustang, and I'm going to go pick it up today or tomorrow. And you hear the stereo does that. It's kind of an alarm thing. It's got an alarm on it. I can't think of anything else to tell you about it. It's definitely a used car, but it's definitely a reliable car, and it's got a decent amount of horsepower. So there you have it. If you're interested in buying it, just contact me through Craigslist Nashville.